You are listening to the Sarah Fader podcast. I'm Sarah Fader, and this is what anxiety feels like. And I'm here with my lovely guest, Michelle Tillis Lederman. I pronounce Letterman right. I always forget. I'm like, oh no, but then you remind me it's the David Letterman, right? But it's the Michelle Letterman show today. Hello.
I love that.
She is an expert on workplace communications and relationships, named by Forbes as one of the top 25 networking experts and one of the top 30 communications professionals in the world by global gurus. Michelle, an MG 100 coach, is the author of 4 books, including the internationally known 11 Laws of Likability and her latest, The Connector's Advantage. Welcome.
Thank you. So glad to be
Yeah.
here.
I'm so happy to have you. So last time we talked about the 11 laws of likability, I want to hear about the connector's advantage. So tell me about that.
The Connector's Advantage actually follows up kind of the likability book. And I summarized the whole book in one of the chapters because it really is building on the concepts. And, it's funny, when I was writing the book, my brother-in-law walks into my office and he's like, oh, another networking book. And I'm like, no, this one's about being a connector. He's like, well, what's the difference? And you would get one of those moments like, I know there's a difference, and now I have to figure out how to explain it to you, And I looked at him and I said, networking is something you do, but a connector, that's who you are.
Yeah, you're like, is this a trick question?
I'm just like, oh, you want me to explain it? I just know it,
Yeah, exactly.
And like he gave me the nod. He's like, okay, I get that. And really, that is the difference for me, because when we talked about likability, it was what to do before, during, and after a conversation. And we want to enable connections, and we want to allow people to see what is likable about us, and all of that is great. This takes it to the next level, and this isn't just about an interaction. This is about a mindset, or I should say 7 mindsets, because I talk about the 7 mindsets that help us grow our influence and grow our impact. And it's a way of being, a way of thinking in all the things we do. It's not like I'm like, okay, turn on the network switch and now I'm going to go do these things in this environment. It is literally who we become.
That's so interesting. So you mentioned 7 mindsets. Is that correct? What
Yes.
are the 7 mindsets?
Okay. I'll give you them in somewhat the order that I wrote them in, but what I want your listeners to know that is this is nonlinear. Like, let's just take the anxiety out of this. You don't have to do them in any particular order. You probably are doing some of them already. These enable each other, they're connected to each other, and we don't have to be perfect with any of them.
That is a relief and very good because I am a nonlinear thinker. So let's do this.
I am a nonlinear thinker as well, so it's all cyclical. Connectors are open and accepting. They have a clear mindset. They come from a place of abundance. They trust. They are social and curious. They are conscientious, and they have a generous spirit.
I love that. What do you resonate with the most out of those 7?
That's a really interesting question. As I say, they kind of group for me. And so let me just give you a little tweak on each one, or a little like preview, and then you'll tell me which one resonates most for you.
I'm excited.
Okay. Because I'll just give you a little taste.
A little taste. I like it.
So open and accepting, and I know all your listeners are like, yeah, I'm always open and accepting of others, but I want you to be open and accepting of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's harder. Yes to others too. Like, we're not ignoring everybody else, but I just want to make sure that we are reflecting that back on ourselves as well. And so I talk about being accepting of our unique charms, those qualities about ourselves that are part of who we are, part of our charm. And you know what? We don't really want to get rid of them necessarily, but they don't always work for our advantage. My husband's humor, love it. Not always the right timing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that there is a time and a place for that. Although, as Jews, I must say that we use humor whenever possible. It could be at a funeral, and we're trying to, lighten up the crowd. It just depends.
Oh, I get that. I think I did get a couple laughs in my mother's eulogy. Um, but so we want to be open and accepting, but we also want to be open to being wrong, right? We tend to like form conclusions really fast. And so part of being open and accepting is being open to being wrong. So there's your little taste there. Have a clear vision is actually one of the ones that I would say is really important to me, because the connector's advantage, the concept of the book, is that whatever it is you're working on, you're going to get there faster, easier, and better through your connections, through your relationships. And that goes for getting a job, getting a client, getting a sale, getting a promotion, getting a mentor, getting healthy, being happy, like reducing your stress, like all of those things. I have stats in the book to show you why your relationships improve in all of those areas. So if you want to get the advantage, you have to have clarity on what it is you are trying to accomplish. So without a clear vision, you're not going to get it. That's why I think that is so important to include, and that's why I include it early. Obviously, trust, right? I talk about the 4 pillars of trust. I talk about what trust really is, and about trust being situational. Abundance is actually one of the hardest concepts for people. And it might help to understand that the opposite of abundance is scarcity. And that scarce mindset puts us in a place of defensiveness. It puts us in a place of protectiveness. It puts us in a place of competition versus collaboration. It puts us in a place of envy and jealousy versus admiration and, mentorship. And so there's a lot of things that an abundant mindset enables in these other mindsets. So that's why they're all core. You can't make me choose one.
Yeah.
But you can choose whichever one resonates for you. Social and curious. I always talk about social does not mean social butterfly, and it does not mean life of the party, and it does not mean working a crowd. Social simply means putting yourself in the position to connect and be curious about one other human, and be willing to share a little of yourself with that other human. That's what I mean by social and curious, enabling the one-on-one connection. Conscientiousness is one you'll probably love, and your listeners will probably love, because this chapter is about understanding what you're willing to say yes to, and what you want to say no to, and how to say no. So it's kind of understanding that connectors follow up and they follow through, but we need to make sure we don't overextend. And that's where clear boundaries come in. But boundaries is a form of the last mindset, which is having a generous spirit. And just like with open and accepting, what we want outward and inward, the same thing with generous spirit. Of course, we want to be generous outward, but we also need to be generous with ourselves. And that is clarity on boundaries. So there's your taste.
Yeah. I have so many questions, and my ADHD mind was like, zoom, zoom, zoom. Where do I go first? I think the 2 areas in which I'm the most curious are abundance and generous spirit. Because abundance, when I think of abundance, I think of, plentiful, not hurting for anything, having a lot. So whether that's having a lot in terms of wealth or happiness, just having, as opposed to that scarcity mindset. So when you talk about abundance, what does that mean to you in this book?
I love that you told me what it means to you, because that helps me understand when we hear that word, what it means, because people really do struggle with the concept. And it's hard for me. I grew up with financial scarcity, right? So, we basically sold furniture to pay the mortgage so we had a roof over our heads. So when there was furniture, which sometimes there was multiple rooms in the house that had no furniture, but we had a house. We had a house and we had a place to live. But every piece of furniture I had was from a sidewalk sale, like my mom could not pass over like any garbage on the street. She's like, there's good stuff in here,
Yes, I understand that. And actually in my 20s, when I lived in downtown Brooklyn, I would walk around Alphabet City in, the Lower East Side, and just look for furniture that people had thrown out, because it was a gold mine to me. And I would reupholster it,
My first apartment after like graduating from college in my mid-20s, I remember going and throwing something out, and I'm like, somebody's throwing that out. I carried it up the 4 flights of stairs and it became my furniture. And I still have that piece of furniture in my basement.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that comes from kind of growing up in that way. My mom was always like, free stuff all the way.
So we scarcity is proven to us, right? We connect, we feel that scarcity, we have proof that it exists. We don't have proof of abundance. I don't need or want you to look for proof of abundance, that idea that you said, a lot. Abundance mindset is not about I have a lot. An abundance mindset is the belief that there is enough.
Oh,
And that's
interesting.
different.
That's the slight difference. So if you were to have a mantra with an abundance mindset, it may be something like, I have what I need.
Yes. Yeah, when you said that, I'm like, what would my mantra be? There is enough to go around.
There is enough to go around. Okay.
That's
There is enough
but
to
but I
go around.
like yours too. Like there's not one mantra. It's the one that you need that works for you. So sometimes when you have somebody, oh, we're in the same field, they're my competition. No, I don't view anybody as competition. My mindset of abundance is that I have strategic partners and collaboration partners and referral partners and alliances, and I literally just lost a gig to somebody who I know, and I'm like, oh my God, she's great. You're gonna love her.
That's how I think too. And I think that I'm wondering so I'm hearing these seven tenants, and I'm wondering where I should shift, where there's no should, because that's a shaming word, but where I can shift my mindset to be more balanced. Because the way I think is exactly the way you think in terms of networking. So for example, I have a friend, Candace, and we both are members of this temp agency called Creative Circle, and they send us different opportunities. They're mostly gig opportunities, and there was one at Yahoo for I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, I think it was like a content manager at Yahoo. And I was looking at this posting. They had reached out to me at Creative Circle, and I was like, you know what? I am not the best person for this job, but I know someone who is, because that's the way my mind works.
Oh my God, that just brought me such joy. I love that. That is a connector's mindset. And, I'm not going to deny that I had a moment of, oh, I didn't get it. And I did want it.
Yeah.
And, that's okay. You can feel sad. You can feel a little envious for a moment, but it's kind of giving it its time and place and being like, okay, I'm done with that. I'm happy for her. Now I have something to talk to her about. I'm going to be checking in with both of them at the end of that program and saying, how was it? I'm going to stay in touch with her because she's like, we might use you for something down the road. Great. There is enough. I won't be doing that on that day. I'll be doing something else.
Yeah, because I could have, in that instance, I could have tried to go for that job and tried to fit myself into this mold because I needed it and because of the scarcity mindset and because I'm a single mom and I'm trying to make money. But I thought, no, this is actually a better fit for her. And also, the way that I look at it, and I've always looked at it, even in the blogging world, is that people remember when you're kind.
Oh,
People do. They absolutely do. And that is the way that I've always looked at it. The best thing you can do as a writer, the best thing that you can do as a woman in business is make friends and make alliances, because people remember that and they remember you.
well, you just kind of proved the point. You said abundance and generous spirit. Well, you just gave a pure example of how a mindset of abundance, of there is enough, enabled you to have a generous spirit
Interesting.
and
Okay.
give it to somebody else, right?
That's so interesting. I have never thought about that in that way. I think okay, so let's think about this with my new job, okay? I am working for AAA and I'm selling life insurance, and I'm a member of a big team, and we all get different leads to call
Mm-hmm.
people. So today I was feeling down because a bunch of the people on the team had gotten leads, they had gotten sales, and I didn't have anything, and that's unusual for me because I'm typically a pretty good producer. So I was starting to feel down about it. And then I think now, hearing what you're saying, I could shift my mindset and I could say, well, if that happened for them today, it could happen for me tomorrow, or that it's out there rather than being sad.
Yes. Okay. So let's stay with mindset of abundance for a moment,
Yeah.
because I know I can pivot to conscientiousness too, because, you said this is not right for me and this is a boundary, and right. So you can
Yeah.
see how all of it's connected. But what I heard was, in order to embrace a mindset of abundance, right, we need to think there is enough. And we need to understand that we shift from I'm jealous of you, my competition, to what can I learn from you?
Oh, that's
Right.
good.
So it's like,
Yeah.
hey, you had a great day. What do you think worked for you today? I'm newer here. What advice do you have for me?
Yeah, it's also be curious, right? So if you can
Another mindset.
yeah, exactly, being curious, because I think that I definitely am on board with that. I think it's important to learn from other people, especially when you're in the same field, because they have so much wealth and knowledge. But I think it's also the way you position it, because one of the most annoying phrases to me is when someone says, "Can I pick your brain?" I'm like, "No, stay out of my brain. I don't want anything in there." Right? But no, can you tell me, can you share some stories about what worked for you, or I feel like there's a way to say it that sounds more inviting than picking someone's brain.
Yeah, but like, so they all had a great day and you didn't.
Hmm.
And I'm sure they've had bad days. And so what you say, like, hey, I wasn't hitting it today. What have you done when you've had a bad day? Or what do you think
Interesting.
worked
Yeah.
really well for you? Like, and so use it as a teachable moment for yourself. And one of the things about abundance is, to have a mindset of abundance is to not compare yourself against others. There's always somebody more, there's always somebody less with whatever the comparison is.
Yeah.
And so, but what I heard you say, which is actually mindset of abundance, is I'm usually a really good producer. I had an off day. And so it wasn't I am bad. You weren't judging or evaluating yourself. You weren't beating yourself up. You were recognizing this is not my norm. And, I'm only evaluating myself against myself.
Thank you for recognizing that. That actually means a lot, because I think sometimes my default is to go to that other place, right? And I think that is a very common thing with people that struggle with anxiety, is to say, "Oh, what did I do wrong?" or "There's something wrong with me," which I think it's very easy to do that. But I think you're right. If you can shift it and say, "Okay, this is an off day." It doesn't mean that it's not
I'm
indicative of
still
my
really
character.
good at what I
That's
do.
it.
Tomorrow is another day.
That's
What
it.
can I
Yeah.
learn from this experience? All of this is the mindset of abundance. It is not, I have more than enough. It is not, everything is fabulous and wonderful. It is, and it's not the Pollyanna, everything's going to be okay, right?
No, it's not. No.
It's none of those things, but it is the perspective of, you know, there is enough, I am enough.
So with generous spirit, can you have a generous spirit when you are struggling? Right? So let's say, like, you're struggling maybe financially, you're struggling mentally, whatever the case may be. I like to think, no matter what's happening, that my spirit beyond that is generous. How is that possible?
That is absolutely possible. And not only is it possible, it actually helps when you are struggling. I, a lot of times when we're struggling, we start to feel down on ourselves. We start to feel useless or less than. And when we then are able to see that we can have a positive impact on somebody else, it increases our personal feelings of worth. So, there is, a generous spirit reflects back on you, right? Um, Not to do it just so you feel good, but it's okay to feel good when helping somebody else, and understand that where we're struggling and where we can be generous don't have to be overlapping. So I can be struggling financially, but I can be generous with an introduction, or I can be generous with carpool, you know,
Yes.
or Right. So how can I still have a spirit of generosity in those places that I feel capable, and to give myself permission in the places that I don't feel capable right now to receive? And remember, that spirit of generosity is also your willingness to receive and make somebody else feel valuable because they were able to help you.
Can you give me an example of generous spirit within your life?
Um, there's so many, um, and I'll tell you a story.
I like stories. I'm excited.
Because part of what having a clear vision is being willing to ask, right? And part of a generous spirit is being willing to receive. And so, asking for help and receiving help is two mindsets in action together. I will never forget the time that my garage door decided to eat my car. The garage door decided to stop working with my car inside of it. And I had very young children at the time that needed to be picked up from school. I needed to get into the city that night. Like, I had all these things, and my garage door would not go up. Now, I'm a smart cookie. I am part of the 24-hour, precision garage, whatever it is, plan. And I
Hmm.
called up, and it was a Thursday, and they said, we can be there Saturday. I said, no, 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 no. I need to get my kids in 3 hours. And I can't get my car. And they're like, well, we can be there Friday. I'm like, no, 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 no.
You're like, are you listening? I just told you I need to get my children.
I'm like, this is like the emergency line. Um, they did not come. I did not have the ability to get my car. And I called my neighbor, who also had a kid my age, and I said, um, I have a really big favor to ask you. And I was so nervous. And I'm like, can I borrow a car? Like, who borrows a car? You borrow sugar. You don't borrow a car, right? And she's like, sure. And I'm like, wait, 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 hold on. It's not just to pick up the kids. I need to be in the city tonight. I'm going to be driving this car into like Jersey to Hoboken, whatever that place is, Harrison, I think it was. I'm going to be parking it there. I'm going to be going to the city. I'm going to be coming back. And then and she's like, okay. And I'm like, okay. She's like, I'm like, sure. Like, I won't have the, and she's like, Michelle, which car do you want? And
Wow.
I'm like, can I have the mini, please?
Well, now that you're asking, exactly.
But it was so easy for her to be generous to me. It was so hard for me to receive her generosity. I have written a blog post about it. I have told that story so many times. And we're talking about a decade later, I still feel how she helped me that day. So that's an example. And I have tons more examples of little ways that I've helped other people, or big ways they've helped me, or all those little moments that add up. And I just wrote a post. Trust is built in small moments, not in big gestures.
What does that mean to you?
It means that it wasn't the car that built our friendship and the trust, right? It was, hey, I saw your package and I put it in your garage because I know you're on vacation. It's small moments. It's the thoughtfulness. It's the, I see you, I care about you, I'm thinking about you. Small little ways that you indicate to people in your life. That's a way to have a generous spirit, is letting somebody know you see them, you care about them, and you will do the small little action for them that might mean nothing, but means everything.
Wow. Okay, quickly, the 7 tenants, and I'm going to pick another one that I'm interested in because my brain completely deleted them. So now I have to hear them again.
Open and accepting, have a clear mindset, trust, abundance, social and curious, conscientious, which is the one I thought you were going to ask about, and generous spirit.
That's the one I wanted to ask about, but I wanted to make sure that I got it correct. So, conscientious. How can I be conscientious?
So we all know what conscientious means, right? Like, we do what we say we're going to do.
Yeah, being
Right?
responsible.
accountable, all that good stuff. But connectors have a tendency to say yes. And yes is easy and no is hard. And what I teach in the book is that yes and no should not be one-word responses. Because there are times that you need to, want to, and should, and I'll use should in this one instance, say no. For you to be generous with yourself, say no. I literally had, for a really long time on my desk, and I'm trying to reach it, but you know, like those little Post-it notes?
Yes.
My husband wrote simply NO on a Post-it note and stuck it on the corner of my monitor. And that glue lasted about a year. And recently he's like, do I need to put no back on your monitor? Because I need to be reminded that I had permission to say no. Sometimes we need permission from ourselves.
That's interesting that you say no, but say more, because you hear this narrative, no is a complete sentence, and you disagree with that. So tell me about that.
I hear their point. And usually when you say no and it's not a complete sentence, you're like opening the door and you are allowing them to push and bulldoze and all that. So let me be clear on what I mean by it's not a one-word sentence. I like no, but I don't like the word but after no, I'm okay with it. No, but here's what you could do. No, but here's who could help you. No, but if you got another 100 people. No, but if you got a budget of this. No, right? So no, but is no, but here's how to get to yes. Or no, but here's how you could get the help you need without me. Or no, but here's another way I can help you because I'm not doing that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I wonder if there's a way to say and. You know how people say yes and? Is there a no and? I'm trying to envision how that would work.
So I am all for yes and, yes if, yes after, yes with, yes when, right? And yes is also not a single word answer because we need to manage expectations, manage timing, manage prioritization, manage conditions, all of that stuff. My hesitation with no and is that they might not realize it's a no.
Yeah, because and sounds very affirmative.
Yeah, no, and you can, what do you mean no and?
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
I think the reason I hesitate with but is because but can have a negative connotation. But I'm wondering if there's
but no already has the negative connotation, right?
You're already there. I mean, you might as well embrace it.
Well, here's the thing. But is not a negative connotation. But is countering whatever came before it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you say, you look really nice, but...
Yeah, that doesn't sound good. But no, but is kind of but is the opposite of no because you're saying, no, but I have another suggestion.
Yes, no, but here's what I can do for you. No, I can't do that, but here's what I can do. And here's what I'm willing to do. Like I've had people ask me like to recommend them somebody or something like 30 seconds after I'm meeting them. And I said, no, but what we could do is let us get to know each other and then let's discuss that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really clear on my no, but I'm open to other ideas. No, but is saying, you know, I know where my boundaries are, and that's being conscientious.
Right, that makes sense because you don't want to commit to something that you can't do. I also am a fan of
I don't want to do.
That I don't want to do. I am a fan of let me get back to you if I'm unsure. And then if I have to come back with no, I'll come back with no.
And that's fine too. You can say, you know, let me think through if I have the capacity or if I have the bandwidth. And buy yourself some time.
That is good. That is good to say because you're not just giving an ambiguous answer of why you're thinking it. So let me think this through to see, and let me think about it and see if I have the bandwidth to take that on.
But also, I want you to think about if you get similar requests. Can I pick your brain? You get this request all the time. I get the will you speak for free all the time.
All the
right?
time.
So when I know I'm going to get certain requests, I know what is required for me to say yes. So I made these guidelines for myself, these boundaries that I talk about, so that I had clarity.
Yeah,
Because
so you don't have to think about it because this is something that happens all the time. So you have almost this template response in your brain.
that's what conscientiousness can do for you, is when you get the clarity of your boundaries, then no becomes easier. And you can tell them the why, right?
There's a no and. We did a no and. I'm excited.
No, and here's why. How's that? No, and here's why.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it.
Okay, we found it.
We found it. No, and here's why. Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, it has been a true pleasure having you as always. Where
Thanks for
can,
having me.
yes, absolutely. Where can we find the Connector's Advantage?
Amazon's the easiest place, but connecting with me is usually the best place to start is my website, which is Michelle with 2 L's, Tillis, Tillis, Lederman, Lederman.com. On there, you can find more information about the book. I have a BOGO, which is a buy one, gift one offer.
Hello. I love it.
Because I love giving the gift of connection, and it's, people love bumpy mail.
And it's your generous spirit.
So yeah, I do a whole thing where they get bookmarks and they get to get custom signatures in each, like they can design the message, and I ship both books out to the same person so they can hand deliver the book as a gift.
I love that so much. Oh my
So
goodness.
yes, so they get the BOGO offer. There's my LinkedIn, there's my Instagram, there's my YouTube, there's my blog, there's my free gifts, there's all the stuff in the show notes. So it's a great place to start.
Okay, so they will start at your website and go from there. Thank you so much again.
Thanks for having me on, Sarah.